And we're back. Now 1 out, man on first for Liriano. I apologize, guys. I had to shut down the broadcast for a minute. I'm going to be completely honest. I had to use the bathroom, but we are back. Liriano getting himself into a little bit of a jam, now down 1-0. And pitching to Johnny Peralta, man on first. I believe it's Matt Carpenter. And Peralta zips one down the left field line and into the crowd. Looks like it hit off one of the fans after bouncing on the wall and rolls back onto the field. Ball boy will chase it down and hand it to the older gentleman that tried to make the catch, but just unable to pull it in. He seems to be motioning like it hit him in the head, but the guy seems like he's all right. So we're back to the game. Liriano goes over to first, throws to Pedro Alvarez to keep Matt Carpenter on the bag. Now the 1-1 to Johnny Peralta. He checks over to first. Peralta back into the box. Liriano sets. Checks over to first one last time. And from the stretch, low and inside. Bounced just behind the plate. Not able to keep it over the plate. And now the 2-1. Man on first. Matt Carpenter to the plate. Now, Johnny Peralta, he's bounced around a little bit a couple of years ago playing for Detroit, some other teams earlier in his career. But he's really found a place for the Cardinals since David Freese left. And he's stepped into a great role. He's hitting high 200s, a couple home runs every season. And that's a pass ball. Carpenter will advance to second. Francisco Liriano unable to keep it in front of him. Wild pitch earlier, Francisco Cervelli able to block it and keep Matt Carpenter on first. But this time it just slips right through the legs, hits off his glove, and in between the legs rolls all the way to the backstop. Luckily able to run back there and corral it before Carpenter can move to third. Now in scoring position, it's a 3-1, 1 out. Anything into the outfield would move him to third at least. Most likely home. A fly ball could advance him to third if it were deep enough. And that's going to be a walk to Peralta. 5-pitch walk from Francisco Liriano. You never want to see that. You never want to give free passes to anybody. You always at least want to make them work a little bit. But just unable to do it. Just a shame on that one. Now that's going to bring up Jason Hayward. Once again, hitting in the 4 spot. Only a few games. Now, Jason Hayward, they've tried almost everything. He's had at-bats from 1 through 9 in the order, coming in to pinch hit a couple of times in the 9th to replace the pitcher. He's hit pretty much everywhere, but I think the best spot for him, they finally have found 4th. As I said earlier, he's not a typical power hitter, home run hitter, but he can drive some balls into the gap. And that's really what you want. You want to just move your runners around. And if you have faith in your top 3, then that's exactly what you're going to get out of Jason Hayward. Now, Liriano's second pitch also called a ball, 2-0 to Jason Hayward. Trying to keep it low and outside, draw that double play ball that they've been looking for this inning to get them out of it. But just unable to get a call from the home plate umpire. That one barely missing on the corner, the first one having been a couple inches in. Now, Cervelli sets up inside, low and inside pitch, called a strike. We're at 2-1. Matt Carpenter on second, Johnny Peralta on first. If they do get a ground ball to one of the fielders, it's going to be a tough double play to turn. Hayward is known to have great speed, a couple stolen bases on the season. He's got great range in the outfield, and just him running down the line, especially being left-handed, can just turn and race off down to first base, really turn on the jets. He's got that lower gear that's tough to throw out at first on a double play, and you just hope that they can get the turn quickly enough. Now Liriano sets for the 2-2. And that's a swing and a miss. Hayward set down on strikes, now 2 outs. Carpenter still on second, and Peralta still on first. You've got one man in scoring position, but definitely an easier situation for Francisco Liriano as Yadier Molina walks up to the plate. Now, you really still have to dance around Molina. He's a very aggressive hitter. He's known to swing on the first pitch. You can never really give him anything to hit at any point in time. The way his philosophy works is really, why would you waste that first pitch? To me, it really doesn't make much sense either, but I guess it gives you a moment to adjust. And he swings at the first pitch, just as I was saying he likes to do, and he pops out in the direction of Gregory Polanco. He's able to grab the ball, and the Pirates get out of this inning completely unharmed. They allow 1 hit, 1 walk, no runs, still 7-2 going into the top of the 4th. Now in the Yankees game, the Indians scored 2 runs in the third. That brought it to 4-2, but now the Yankees have just scored a run. They've got a man on second, and it looks like Stephen Drew drove in that run. Now Jacoby Ellsbury hit bat. Stephen Drew now standing on second base. He doesn't have great speed, but Jacoby Ellsbury really knows how to hit the ball into the gap, and anything into the gap or even into the outfield, if it's hit softly, could bring home that run. Now, the Indians do have some strong arms in their outfield. Michael Brantley, known to have a pretty good arm. I believe he has been an all-star. I'm not sure if he was this past year. But he is a great fielder. He's a great all-around player, probably the best player on the Indians. No, I don't think he was an all-star. I believe Jason Kipnis was the all-star for the Indians. Being a losing season, it's pretty difficult to have more than one all-star on the team. But since everyone has to be represented, it would be tough to make the choice to be anyone other than Jason Kipnis, who is having an amazing season, the best of his career, hitting well above 300, many home runs. And now the Indians are going to pause for a mound visit. So we'll look over at the Royals game. Now the Royals are already up 1-0 on the Angels. Garrett Richards is pitching. Lorenzo Cain is at bat. Oh, I'm sorry. Lorenzo Cain just singled. They've got runners on first and second. And that will bring Eric Hosmer up to bat. Hosmer having a great season as well. He was a member of that Royals team that almost everyone was elected to the All-Star game. Including Mike Moustakas, sorry. Omar Infante was on the bench, I believe. Just almost the entire team. Alex Gordon was elected. I believe Salvador Perez, Lorenzo Cain, definitely. Alcides Escobar, Mike Moustakas, Eric Hosmer. I don't believe any of their pitchers, although now they do have Johnny Cueto. That actually is a nice thing to talk about. That he pitched a shutout, complete game the other day. It was dreadlock night at at Kansas City Stadium. Everybody wore dreadlock wigs to honor Johnny Cueto and thank him for coming to the Royals. And he's really been embraced over there. You see kids running down the street with dreadlocks, and just an amazing game by him the other day. And I have to be happy that the Reds no longer have Johnny Cueto to terrorize us all season. And now Polanco hitting one deep. Grichuk able to make the catch on the warning track. Looked a little uncomfortable. Didn't know which way that ball was going to tail, but he is able to twist and turn and make that catch. A little bit of a tough one out on the warning track. Now, Polanco doesn't have great opposite field power, but he did drive this one all the way to the warning track. Grichuk sliding over to his right or his left to start off that one, and then having to hightail it out to the warning track at the last second to make that catch. And it really would have been something if that one dropped in. Grichuk yesterday, playing in center field, made a bad play. He slipped on a Andrew McCutchen ball that was later ruled a triple. I believe it was an error, but it was ruled a triple. The ball ended up getting past him after he tripped and rolling all the way to the wall until he was able to get up, chase it down. Now Neil Walker up to bat. He has a single and a triple so far this season, or so far this game, I'm sorry. With one out, no men on, he is at 1-2 in the count. Looking to maybe get this cycle early in this game, the 4th inning. He already has a single and a triple. The triple by far the hardest to gather in the cycle. And he hits a grounder over and just foul. He's going to step back in 1-2 yet again. Now, Lyons, since he's come in, has pitched fairly well. He's allowed a couple of runners on, but able to keep the scoring at 0. Still 7-2 here in the top of the 4th. Pirates really working hard to keep a hold of this lead. Now Neil Walker fouls yet another one back, 1-2 again. Now in the 4th, Lions is up to 33 pitches. And you would think that he would be able to go pretty deep, but with a short warm-up, you never really know with those long relievers. They're good for a couple of innings, but you never really know how many pitches they really can throw. When you're a starter, you have all the time in the world to warm up. You can go through all of your rotations and all of your rituals. I'm saying this as Neil Walker grounds out to shortstop. Johnny Peralta makes the throw over to first for the out. You have certain rituals that you like to go to. Lions was earlier in the season in the starting rotation, and then since removed. He was really pitching well in a big spot after Adam Wainwright went down with a torn Achilles tendon early in the season. And you never know, once you can't get a good warm-up in, how far these guys can go. Andrew McCutchen now at bat takes the first pitch for a ball, 1-0. 2 outs, none on in the top of the 4th. You never really know how far these guys can go. Now at 36 pitches, that's ball 2. The Cardinals are definitely hoping that he can go deep into this game. They can keep their bullpen rested. But at this point, whenever you take your starter out in the first inning, it never looks good. And now McCutchen fouls off a curveball for strike 1. Looks like his hand is a little uncomfortable. It slipped off the bat, and it would really be a tough loss if McCutchen went out at this point with Josh Harrison already out and Jordy Mercer, and now Starling Marte out for an unknown period of time, not in the lineup yet again. No prognosis for his hand injury that he left the game with earlier yesterday. And McCutchen grounds to third and is thrown out at first. That's a 1-2-3 inning for the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll be right back. I lied, guys. I still stay on for the commercials. The Royals moved their runners over, second and third, 1 out now. Garrett Richards looking like he's struggling a little bit. Kendrys Morales up to bat. Later today, we have the Reds playing the Dodgers in Los Angeles. Matchup between Matt Latos, who was traded for earlier this season from the Marlins to the Dodgers. They took on a lot of money, gave up not very much in terms of prospects, and bolstered their rotation a little bit. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. They say that they want to win the World Series, yet they're not willing to go after those big names like Cole Hamels was on the market, Johnny Cueto was on the market. They were in the conversation for a lot of these players, and they just could not get a trade worked out. And you have to believe that some of these teams had to have been asking for a lot. And it's been rumored that the Phillies would not give up Cole Hamels for anyone other than Corey Seager, the Dodgers' #1 prospect and shortstop in AAA, who we might see later this season. Jimmy Rollins, if he can't sustain this hot streak, then Corey Seager might be up. And then Julio Urias, who's a pitcher, their #1 pitching prospect, and certainly one that the Dodgers have high hopes for, was also rumored to be in a trade offer between the Phillies and the Dodgers. Now, you never know which way those trade offers were going. Maybe that wasn't enough for the Phillies, which you would certainly think is unbelievable, as he is one of the best prospects in baseball, easily top 20 prospect. But they seemingly could not get the job done, especially. And also David Price was on the market, although apparently not for long, apparently about 5 hours before the trade deadline closed. The Blue Jays received a call from the Tigers that David Price was on the market, and within 3 hours they had worked out a deal that sent David Price over to the Blue Jays in exchange for Daniel Norris and a few other prospects. Now, Daniel Norris, I really like him personally. I think he has great potential. I think that he's going to be a great player, but the Blue Jays seem like they're all in, and it's looking like they have a legitimate shot at a World Series, so I can't exactly blame them for letting Price walk. And from everything that Price has said, he really loves the atmosphere in Toronto. And, just a strange play there. Jung Ho Gong running past second base for a ground ball. He eventually peels off for Neil Walker, but then Neil Walker trips on himself as he attempts to field it, and that can only be ruled an error. And now Colton Wong reaches first safely in one of the strangest fielding plays I've ever seen. It was a broken bat that Neil Walker just cannot field cleanly. He just trips on his own foot and can't make the throw. Just amazing. Wow. Just a weird play. And now that's going to bring Piscotty up to bat. As I'm sure I said earlier, Piscotty in his rookie season, one of the Cardinals' many prospects that has come up and panned out greatly. Everyone looking at the NL Central has talked about the Cubs in terms of their rookies. But if you look at the Cardinals, they have a great young team. Colton Wong in his third season. His first season, a very short one, came up just before the postseason and had a great playoff run. Last year, he struggled a little bit, at one point sent back down, but now he's firmly cemented himself as the starting baseman in his first full season in the majors. And Randall Grichuk in his first full season in the majors, he was up for about 40 games last season, and he's really settled into the Cardinals lineup well. And now that one, a low pitch on the 0-2 count for Liriano. No outs, man on first. As I was saying, they do have a great young core, as they always have. Some really great young pitchers in Michael Wacha and Carlos Martinez in his rookie year. He has an ERA hovering around 2, the low 2s, which you can never ask a rookie to do that. It's just amazing that a rookie could pitch that well this season. And, just a great season from Piscotty and Martinez and Wacha, just this young core keeping it together. And you wonder how long the Cardinals can keep this core together. As I've said in the past, they don't seem worried about keeping it together. And now ground ball to Neil Walker, and they are able to turn to Pedro Alvarez, staying on the bag, making a pick over to his throwing hand, reaching across the body and able to pick that ball up. A great throw by Gong, a very, very slow release, and now it looks like Mike Matheny might want to challenge this. I believe he was out, but it was close. Definitely got the runner at second, had to lean way out there to avoid the takeout slide. And Pedro Alvarez making an amazing pick play, reaching across the body for a ball that barely stayed up before bouncing, kept his foot on the bag. And that one certainly looks like an out as Mike Matheny climbs back into the dugout, deciding not to challenge. Now, this challenge system has me a little bit confused. I understand that they want to challenge, and yes, looking at the slow-mo camera, it definitely wasn't out. Now, to me, if it's a bang-bang play, you should be able to come up and challenge it. I don't have any problem with that. Now, Peter Borges at bat, hitting .220 on the season. And a ground ball to Neil Walker, flips over to first, and gets it there a step ahead of Peter Borges. And that's a 1-2-3 inning for the Pirates. Now, if you want to challenge a bang-bang play, that is fine with me. I like the challenge system. I think it was needed in baseball for years. There are too many plays that are close, important plays, game-deciding plays even, playoff series-defining plays even, that should have been able to be challenged and reviewed. And I'm glad that they finally implemented it. But if it's going to be a challenge, I don't think that you should be able to wait and look in the dugout for a replay. I think that if you're going to challenge, you should have to go up there and you should have to challenge it right away or decide not to challenge it. If it's a close play, you shouldn't be able to wait to see if they're already out and see if the umpires see the same thing that you do. In the NFL, you can't wait until the scoreboard shows a replay and then go and challenge it. By then, you already have to be on to the next play, and I think baseball should have something similar. The manager shouldn't be able to stand there for 30 seconds waiting for his assistants to look on the screen to see whether it was really an out. And it's just unbelievable to me that they allow managers to do that, because Mike Matheny, as you just saw, stepped out only for about 10 seconds this time before he realized that he didn't have much of a shot. But he stood there, listened to his assistants, watched the replay on the big board out in center field before deciding that he ultimately didn't have a chance at getting that play overturned. And yesterday, even Mike Scioscia for the Los Angeles Angels, he had a play reviewed, and then even then he went out and argued with the umpires, and they changed the call even after the review. And really, he should have been ejected. David Robertson called him Busch League after that. I'm sure some of you have heard. But really, it was a strange insult to me. I don't think that was really warranted. But I don't know. Robertson wanted to warm up, and Scioscia really was just in the way and wasted a lot of time. And the White Sox ended up coming back and winning the game in extra innings. But Robertson blames blames Mike Scioscia for the blown save. Really, I don't think that it was warranted, his response, but I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous that you can come out and argue with an umpire after a video review. And now we're back. Lions pitching again in the top of the fifth. Pedro Alvarez on deck, and Jung Ho Gong in at fifth, in to hit. Ground ball to the first baseman, and he is tagged out on his way to first. Looked for a second like he was going to try to avoid that tag, but Piscotty laid it on him after he eventually gave up on trying to get around him. And that brings Pedro Alvarez up to bat, none on, one out in the top of the fifth. Now, Clint Hurdle has really done a great job turning the Pirates around. His first season, there was a little bit of a second-half collapse, which the Pirates being a young team, you could expect that to happen. There weren't great playoff hopes for that first season. And Pedro Alvarez takes strike one, by the way. And they were doing great, collapsed a little bit, ended up with another losing season. But then that next year, they ended up really coming out. And Pedro hits a ball into shallow center field, even among the shift. Colton Wong unable to get to that ball. Now Pedro is on with a single. That's going to bring up Francisco Cervelli. He really golfed at that one, low and outside, able to get the barrel of the bat around on it and drive it out into center field for a shallow line drive. A little blooper, and now he's on first base. As I was talking about, Clint Hurdle really able to turn the Pirates around, change the culture of the Pirates. For years, they were known as Pittsburgh's sole losing team. What with the success of the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the last few years, having the Pittsburgh Steelers win 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, and the Pittsburgh Penguins competing in the Stanley Cup for 2 years in a row, having won 1. The Pirates were really the sole losing team in the area, and it just seemed like they couldn't draw fans because of that. But with Clint Hurdle coming in as manager, he was really able to turn the team around and utilize some analytics, such as the defensive shift against batters that have strong tendencies, and really able to turn the Pirates around, bring in a new regime, and that included pitching coach Ray Searage, who really converted a lot of pitchers, including AJ Burnett and Francisco Liriano, from fastball pitchers that looked to strike people out. And that seemed like it was going to be a double play ball, but the throw from Colton Wong over to first, unable to stay on the bag, and he tries to make the tag on Cervelli, but just unable to make that tag. A great pick from Peralta, turns and throws, and Cervelli just able to outrun that tag. It would have been close either way, but if he had stayed on the bag, I believe Piscotty would have caught that ball in time. Just a barely off target by Colton Wong, able to turn and make that throw. And now Cervelli's on first with 2 outs. Travis Ishikawa up to the plate. High and inside, that ball is past Yadier Molina. You don't see that very often. Now, that one is just a simple passed ball. That is not a wild pitch. That one was a little bit high and inside, but Molina not able to pull that glove over and close it around the ball and just lets it bounce off his glove all the way to the backstop. Molina was set up on the outside corner. Lyons very obviously missed his spot on that one, but Molina, one of the best defensive catchers in baseball and one of the best defensive catchers in this era, unable to pull his glove across and make that catch. And now this is going to be strike one to Ishikawa, now 1-1, man on second with 2 outs. That man on second is Francisco Cervelli. He doesn't have the greatest speed, but surely a ball into the outfield would bring him around and build this lead up to 6 runs. Right now, 7-2 in the top of the 5th. That one was a breaking pitch that cut outside. Travis Ishikawa now down 1-2. He's 1 for 2 on the night. He had a single in the first, eventually turned into a run. Not hitting great, as I've said earlier, now at 188, but standing in there nevertheless. Playing left field for Starling Marte. Checks a swing, appeal down to the third baseline, called safe. Now they count it 2-2. Travis Ishikawa is an interesting guy. Started his career with the San Francisco Giants, traded over to the Pirates, traded back over to the Giants, won a World Series with them, came back to the Pirates, and now here we are. He's bounced around a lot, mainly around those 2 teams, maybe a couple others thrown into the mix that I'm forgetting right now. But we're sure happy to have him back. He's a pretty good defensive first baseman, and that's really looking like a logjam. I'm glad that we could find a spot in the lineup for him because we're going to need him going forward to be able to hit, and getting consistent at bats is really the name of the game as he's in with a full count, draws the walk, and that's going to bring up Sean Rodriguez. Sean Rodriguez playing third tonight. He has never really gotten consistent playing time in his career. Not a terrible hitter, especially against lefties, which he's facing now in Lions. He has bounced from team to team, being a serviceable replacement. He's had a couple of games here and there. This season he's hitting .219. He's 0 for 2 tonight, but now standing in for his third at bat against Lions. Takes a curveball for strike one. Standing in 0-1, men on first and second with 2 outs. Takes ball 1 low. A fastball low and inside. Now at 52 pitches, Lyons is sticking in there. As I said earlier, you never really know whenever you bring in a long reliever on short rest or on short warm-up. You never know how far they can go, but Lyons really holding up right now. Pitches another ball, 2-1. Earlier in the game, Lance Lynn unable to get the game going well. 7 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning for an ERA of 81 on the game. That one will hurt the stat line. And now Sean Rodriguez takes a swing and a miss. Count now 2-2. 2 outs. Men on first and second. Ishikawa at first. Cervelli on second. Sean Rodriguez is really known as a defensive specialist. He can play almost any position. I think he has, for the Pirates, played every position except shortstop, pitcher, and catcher. Nope, that's not true. He hasn't played center field either this season, but really just a utility fielder. And he's made some amazing plays this season. And you would just love to see him keep it up going into the playoffs. Gets a lot of spots late in the game, coming in as a defensive specialist, pulling out Pedro Alvarez and other big bats in the lineup for a defensive boost. Try and keep a win going. But you would definitely love to see him heat up in the second half of the season. And now that's going to be a shallow pop-up to center field. Borges under it, makes the catch, and that's the end of the inning. I'll be right back. I apologize for that. I was had an itch in my throat. I had to go get a drink. But we're back. More baseball. Now, I know I don't have many regular viewers, but if you are watching this, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm hoping that in the next few weeks I can do some NFL previews, maybe a preseason game. I'm hoping to do a couple regular season games and eventually postseason. I'm not the most knowledgeable about football. By far, I know the most about baseball and basketball. And once the NBA season starts, there'll probably be a couple of NBA games. Maybe I'll do an NBA preview series. If you are a regular viewer, I'd love to hear what you think. And please subscribe if you are a regular viewer. I'd love to have you coming back and watching more and more. In the future, I'll be having some annotations to let you know where you can subscribe, make it easier to subscribe. And yeah, I'd love to have you guys keep coming back and really build this up. I'm a huge sports fan, obviously. I love Pittsburgh sports especially. And I'd just love to share that with you. Obviously, most of my broadcasts are going to be about Pittsburgh sports or whichever are on national television, just because that's the easiest to attain. But maybe eventually we can expand that and get some MLB network or something where I'd have easier access to all of the games like NBA Showtime, NFL and Red Zone, stuff like that, so that we could reach out to whatever you guys really want to see. So if you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments or message or on the channel somewhere, and we'll see if we can accommodate some other viewers' wants and needs. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And now we're back in the bottom of the fifth. Liriano's still on the mound for the Pirates, having allowed just 2 runs. And other than that, really not a lot of damage. It's allowed just 4 hits, 2 runs, and I believe they're all in the first inning. Actually, I apologize, I'm wrong. One of them was in the last inning. And just great pitching. Great pitching so far. Now up to bat Tyler Lyons. He's a 273 hitter on the season. Of course, not getting regular at bats because he's a pitcher. Now the count at 1-1. As I said earlier, my strategy, unless you're facing a pitcher that really, really can hit, you got to go straight at them. You can't waste pitches against a pitcher. And Lyons grounds out to second base. Now that was a 3-pitch at bat. That's pretty good, but obviously you only get about 100 pitches a game from your starting pitcher. You don't want him wasting a lot of pitches, dancing around other pitchers like we saw Lyons do, like we've seen Lance Lynn do, like Liriano did earlier, and many other pitchers do this, trying to make sure they get that out. I think you really just have to be overly aggressive because ultimately, even if you throw a fastball right down the middle, most pitchers are going to ground that out or foul it off no matter what. And now Matt Carpenter swinging at the first pitch. Easy ground ball over to Neil Walker, flips it over to Pedro Alvarez at first for the second out of the inning. That's going to bring up Randy Grichuk, another young St. Louis Cardinal. The Pirates just up 1 game for home field advantage in the wild card. They do have the tiebreaker against the Cubs, I believe, having a better record against them this season, but they're still going to play them a couple more times this year. The Cardinals, a stunning 26.5 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers. Really been struggling these last few years, pretty much since Prince Fielder left to go to the Detroit Tigers. Now on the or now on the Texas Rangers. He was a big part of their offense years ago. Definitely a feared person in the NL Central. And then when he left the Brewers, they've had a couple good years since then, but not many. Now Grichuk, the 1-1, Liriano pitching to him, thrown just 64 pitches so far into the fifth. Love to see him go a little bit deep. The bullpen's been worked pretty hard the last two nights, having to come in the sixth inning, both games. So you'd love to see them get a little bit of rest today. Pirates bullpen doing great this season, especially Mark Melancon. There's a strike now, counted 2-2. Melancon has over 30 saves in a row. I believe it's 35 now. And he has not blown a save since very early in the season in April. He has only blown one save this season in his second consecutive All-Star season. Just having an amazing season this year. Love to see that from a guy. Bounced around for a couple of years, unable to really cement himself in the league. And the Pirates got him a couple of years ago, initially as the setup man for Jason Grilli, who's now on the Atlanta Braves. And he's really made a home here in Pittsburgh. Now the 2-2, Liriano sets. And a swing and a miss. Down on strikes is Grichuk. That's another 1-2-3 inning for the Pirates. And we'll be back in the top of the sixth. Now, I don't know if any of you guys play fantasy baseball or anything like that, but I love it. And I'd love to do some fantasy sports updates, some stuff like that. Some of you may have seen that I did one with my brother a couple of days ago. It was not very well received, but I would love to do more of them if possible. If you guys would like that, I can do some fantasy football updates. I know that's probably the most popular, but me and my friends do pretty much every sport, and I'm sure that they would be willing to talk about it with you guys. You guys could possibly get some insight on some players. We have a great time with it. And if that's something that you guys would enjoy, then we can definitely do that. Once again, write in the comments if you have any feedback. Feel free to subscribe, write on the channel. Anything that really – this is supposed to be entertainment for you. I mean, it's fun for me because I love sports and I love doing this myself. But if I can put it on there and share it with some people, my love of sports it's just fun for me, and I'd love to really do whatever you guys want to see. That's the most important. So, yeah, just let me know whatever is most entertaining for you. We're back. Liriano leading off this inning. Comes in to bat. Never really expect much from Francisco Liriano, below 100 career hitter. But the last few games, he's really been on it. Like I said, hit the home run. That pitch, he backed out of the box before the pitch even came across the plate. Obviously not looking to hit. He's hitting 116 on the season. He's 1 for 2 today, and that home run last week, easily the best pitch he hit his entire career, and now backing out of the box once again. seems like he has a sampling platter of bats using Gregory Polanco's this at bat. Used Burnett's a couple days ago, his own bat earlier this game. Just altogether confusing why he's not using his own bat ever, it seems like. I believe he used Francisco Cervelli's bat earlier. Maybe just looking for something new, uncomfortable with his old bat. I'm just confused about why he would want to use anyone else's bat. You kind of get used to it as a player. Like I said, I didn't play much, but you get used to your bat as a player. You never want to be using someone else's bat, really. And now he just hands off the bat to Gregory Polanco. Just confusing. I don't understand. I don't know that. I don't really understand why you even need a bat if you're going to bat like Francisco Liriano. He just took 5 pitches, stepped out of the box before each one crossed the plate, and struck out. Now Gregory Polanco up to bat, hitting .258 on the season, but as I said earlier, hitting well above 300 on the second half, around .330, I believe. And just his last 3 weeks, hitting around .320. Just having an altogether great season, at least second half of the season. And you really hope that he can hold this up going into next season and the rest of this season, because he would really be a useful weapon going into the playoffs and into next year. And he just leans out of the way of a pitch right down the middle, breaks onto the plate. Now it's 2-1 to Gregory Polanco with 1 out, none on. Polanco driving 1 out to left. Hayward back against the wall, steps forward and makes the catch on the warning track. All 3 at-bats that Polanco has had in which he has not gotten a hit have been well-hit balls. So far, 2 of them have gone to the warning track and 1 a little bit shallower out to left earlier in the game, but really just making solid contact and really waiting on the ball. This one, Hayward going all the way out to the wall for fear that it might be over, and eventually coming back a couple of steps to make the play. Now with 2 outs, Neil Walker comes up to bat. Takes a ball from Lyons. Now Hayward out and right, possibly the best right fielder in all of baseball. He's extremely athletic, which you don't see from all corner outfielders. He's got one of the best arms in the game. Really, probably his closest comparison would be Hunter Pence with the speed and the arm strength that he has. And just his overall ability to field the position, he's one of the best for sure. A lot of outfielders are just a little bit sluggish and slow. Some power hitters are hidden out there. JD Martinez is one example, Nelson Cruz. They both play right field, and they have great arms but not great range of the position. Now Neil Walker popping up to the right side in foul territory, and Piscotty will go make the catch as he falls onto the tarp. And that'll end the inning. I imagine that this is what real color commentary and play-by-play guys do during a commercial, just sit there and take a rest. It's a lot tougher than it seems like. I know you guys probably think I'm doing a pretty bad job of it, hence the name Bad Broadcasters. But it's tough to sit in here and run this thing for, I think I've been on for about 2 hours now, almost 2, an hour and 45 minutes. And it's really tough to be out here. You just wouldn't expect it. You think you can go out there, talk baseball for a couple hours, whatever's going on. But especially alone, I mean, trying to do both jobs. I'm not running out of things to talk about with you, but it's tough to keep going and thinking of new things. So, yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'll keep honing my craft. Maybe eventually I could get a little bit better at this. Right now the Yankees are up 6-2 in the 6th inning. As I said earlier, Brian McCann started that off with a 3-run homer to put them up. Really a great signing by the Yankees a couple years ago, taking him from the Braves. And now Jung-Ho Kang is going to move to third base. Pedro Florman on to shortstop, a defensive replacement. And Sean Rodriguez will move out to left for Travis Ishikawa. Really just a defensive replacement, trying to defend this 5-run lead in the 6th. Looking at the Pirates, Clint Hurdle obviously thinks they're not going to give up that many. They don't really need to score that many runs. They've got enough to win it. And he thinks that they really should just protect this lead. Now, Johnny Peralta at bat. 0-2 is the count with 0 outs. He's 0 for 1 in the game with a walk. Liriano's still on the mound. Now it's 71 pitches in the 6th inning. Now a ball meant to be a chase pitch. Curveball just a little too low. Bounces. And Peralta able to lay off. Now I'm sure many of you are questioning why I'm always wearing this purple hat. Really, I think it's lucky. Whenever the Pirates are doing badly, I turn it 180 degrees. And when they're doing well, I keep it exactly as it is. And, it's only weird if it doesn't work. Obviously, you can't win every game, but whenever they're skidding or they look like they're allowing a big inning to an opponent, or if they really need some runs, I turn the hat. And it seems like they always get a couple runs or get their way out of the inning. And even though they don't win all the time, they definitely can convert their luck a little bit. So it's Purple Pirates hat and just a little weird piece of memorabilia that I have. And earlier, Peralta reached on a single, went through the gap between Jung-Ho Kang and Pedro Florman between shortstop and third. Now Jason Hayward at bat with Peralta on first, no outs. The count 2-0, allowing 2 strikes. Do you want to get in the broadcast, Indy? Looks like someone wants to join us. Say hi to all the viewers, Indy. Oh, I guess not. Now Pedro makes a diving play, drops the ball on his way to first, and everyone will be safe. Peralta advances to second, and Hayward safe on another error by Pedro Alvarez. He's lucky that we are up by 5 runs right now. The Pirates' fielding is just atrocious in this series. Pedro makes an amazing diving play, holds onto the ball, loses it as he tries to get up and run to first, racing Hayward. It would have been close either way, but you just wish that you even give yourself a chance instead of just leaving the ball behind. Unbelievable from Pedro Alvarez. Just an unbelievable play. Lucky break for the Cardinals. Now with Yadier Molina at bat, men on first and second, you never want to be put in this situation. Having one of the smartest players in baseball at the plate with men on first and second. First pitch, he fouls off. As I said earlier, he's one of the most aggressive players in the MLB. He never shies away from swinging at a first strike. He doesn't always try to swing as hard as he can at the ball. He just wants to give himself every opportunity that he can get to get a good hit. And if the ball's there, he swings at it. He doesn't always wait for the ball to pass him and wait for his pitch. If it's within his range, he swings at it. And that really accounts for his rise in productivity in the last few years, is this new philosophy that he's found. Now Liriano checks to second. The pitch, called a ball inside. The count now 2-1, still 0 outs. Yadier Molina at the plate. Hayward at first. Peralta at second. Pirates now have right-handed pitcher Jared Hughes warming up. Presumably going to be in for relief for Liriano should he get himself into a bad situation here, or next inning if he can get himself out of this. The count now 3-1 to Yadier Molina. Still 0 outs, men on first and second. Really could use a ground out here. Liriano checks second. The pitch. And it's outside, a walk. He loads the bases with no outs. This is definitely not what you want from your pitcher. Now at bat, Colton Wong. And now Ray Sears is going to come out and visit. Very possible that Liriano comes out here. The Pirates could bring in Jared Hughes to face Liriano. Well, it looks like Liriano is going to stay in. For now, at least. Bases loaded. Infield ready to come home. Playing in their normal depth. Maybe pinched a little bit to try for a double play. Pitch outside for the 1-0. Cervelli had to block that one to keep it in front of him. Lucky that didn't pass because it certainly would have let up a run. Pirates playing very conservatively here, not worried with their 5-run lead. But a big hit here could easily allow the Cardinals back in this game. And now a ground ball over to second, and they're looking for the double play, and they cannot get it. They get one, allow one to cross the plate. Now men on first and third with 1 out. Able to turn one, but Colton Wong busts down the first base line and makes it in safe at first. And this will bring up Piscotty. Stephen Piscotty is hitting .348 on the season so far. It's 0 for 2 today, already grounded into 2 once. Pirates can get lucky, hopefully, a second time. Score now 7-3 in the bottom of the 6th. Swing and a miss for strike 1. Count 0-1. 1 out. Pirates really looking for a ground ball. Try to convert that double play. Liriano. Pitch. Inside. No swing from Piscotty this time. Liriano looks over to first. Steps off the mound. Takes a breath. sets for the 1-1. The pitch right down the middle. That's a strike. No swing from Piscotty. Liriano froze him with that off-speed pitch right down the middle. Now 1-2. Pirates hoping for either a strikeout or a grounder that can turn into a double play. Just stop the bleeding here. And now that one's a pop-up. Into shallow right field. Polanco picks it up. Freezes Jason Hayward at third. Unable to come home. A great throw from Polanco. Cut off by Pedro Alvarez before getting to the plate. But able to hold Jason Hayward on third base. What a play by Polanco. Able to look him back. Now, Jason Hayward has good speed. If he had been able to tag up, he probably would have made it home on a deeper ball, but that one just shallow into right. He's unable to run home. Now Liriano set to face Peter Borges. He's only hitting .219 on the season with 2 home runs. He has a strikeout and a groundout in the game today. But the Cardinals had high hopes for him a couple years ago. Got him from the Angels. One of the lone prospects that they developed in the last few years. Now Mark Reynolds warming up in the batter's box, coming in for Tyler Lyons. Liriano, a low pitch. The count now 1-1. Jason Hayward on third. 2 outs. Runner on first as well. Colton Wong, the runner on first. Liriano pitches, and a swing and a miss from Borges. Count now 1-2. 2 outs. Maybe Liriano can get out of this inning with minimal damage. Liriano sets the throw, and it is popped up foul. Borges just barely staying alive. Liriano sets 1-2, looks over to first. High pitch. Borges doesn't chase. Liriano now at 92 pitches, almost certainly going to come out next inning, especially after letting up this run. Jared Hughes appears to be warm in the bullpen if need be. Almost certainly going to come in next inning. Colton Wong steals second. Cervelli thinks about throwing it, but decides to hang on to the ball. Now meeting with Liriano, trying to get him to calm down. 3-2 count with 2 outs. Runners on second and third. A hit would definitely score 2. Wong has some great speed. I'm sure some of you right now are questioning, why don't I turn the hat around? Well, it would be a rookie mistake to turn the hat around too early. Anger the hat. Turn our luck worse than it already is. Liriano able to make him pop up. Cervelli and Alvarez chasing the ball down. Alvarez makes the catch to end the inning. Pirates allow 1 run. Liriano finishes the game with 3 runs allowed, 6 hits, and no errors for the Pirates so far this game. All right, guys, I apologize, but I'm getting exhausted. There will be a game recap coming out in a few hours. Just enjoy the rest of the game, and I'm going to call it a night. Good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.